Holy mackerel, how you doing, my Jen? This is Lucifer here. I'm gonna try something. I'm gonna try saying Lucifer and not saying Seth, just to see what happens. This is an experiment. So, this is Lucifer here, spiritual and business consulting, amongst other things. Hello, how y'all doing? If it's your first time joining my channel, don't forget to subscribe, because I see a lot of you would subscribe, but you probably forget to press the subscribe button after the video. So press subscribe. Make sure you subscribe when you listening to my videos. So anyways, man, um, I already did I post out the other video? Yeah, I did. Yeah, I did. No, I didn't. Okay, so what's going on here, man? We got Polite. It's basically a child fondler right now, apparently. But the thing is, in the video I didn't post, I was saying something that was important. I'm not gonna repeat that shit. I will, because I just want to be fair, right? And the thing is, it's a thing about black people and how we see each other in society, right? And there's gonna be a little bit of a segue in pedophilia there somewhere, right? And well, a bit of an analogy, right? And it's a bit dark, I'm just kidding. Don't take it personally, you more or less. But anyway, the analogy is, there you can't successful black people hang around other successful black people, you know, and white people might not be racist. Well, successful white people might not be as racist as unsuccessful white people. So what that means is a white guy that doesn't feel insecure about you, if you're black, is probably going to have some prejudice in front of you. But if you are capable to communicate correctly with him, he's probably not going to hate you that much. But the thing is, the reason why he has a little bit of prejudice towards you, because of all the other things that he probably heard. And maybe he saw things here and there, but like I said, he's not racist, just prejudiced. So if he's just prejudiced, it's probably because the things he's seen wasn't as bad as some other people might portray black people to be. So he's just prejudiced. Like, he probably saw a black guy getting angry in the market somewhere, or at the bank or something like that, right? So he's like, oh, those blackies. So that pretty much as far as it goes, if you're not insecure. But if you are an insecure white male, you're probably gonna be hella fucking racist, like like super fucking racist. And what you're actually doing is that you're projecting your insecurities onto a race. So the race is probably the racist part has probably nothing to do with your hating that you're doing right now, right? But that's the thing. And the white guy that is successful, he probably a little bit, he kind of feels, a little bit reluctant, because he got a good looking 16-year-old in there in his house. So so maybe he's like a little bit protective, so he's like, man, I don't know about them black folks, man. Like, my daughter goes out with one of them, something or something. So and I'm not afraid for a successful white man, because he probably got a hunting rifle inside his living room and shit. So I ain't even I'm not even worried about that, right? So but on the other hand, black people don't have that kind of mentality. Black people will automatically believe every fucking lie that people tell them. Well, most of the time, it's not that they believe it. It's just like they know what the status quo is. So since they know what the status quo is, they're just gonna go along with the fucking shit because in their minds, well, they can't do shit about it. It's the status quo, so we might as well just fucking do whatever the fuck the guy says, right? Which is horrible. It's like a bad way of thinking. It's like the worst way of thinking possible, bro. Like that's not. This just not good. It's just not good. It has to stop, bro. And the worst part is, a lot of these people. There's some people that are like they're completely, they might be like, yeah, that's it, right? That's it. But hold up, there's a problem in that, and this is why spirituality is good. The problem is this still leaves space for a dimension to exist, and the dimension is in your head, right? Well, I can't really get into that because y'all are clout chasers and you only watching the videos where there's some clout. So we didn't really get into how the dimensions work in your mind. I have explained it before, but I haven't gone into the more deeper, processes of the dimensions that you create in your head. So since there's an empty space because there's hate, right? But there's no love, right? But of course there's love, right? And the love in itself is not good. The reason why the love in itself is not good in that particular situation where it's white versus black, or when it's realization of your social status seen towards a white person, right? There's a space in there, there's a gap in there that can be filled by anyone or anything. It just takes a person to think about doing something and the gap is filled. Unfortunately, the Illuminati beat most of us to the point. What I mean by that is them goddamn Muslim groups. Those god darn it Muslim groups, bro. Like they're the ones that fill that gap. Because you're angry, you realize that this is bullshit, but there's still information now needed to be added to the data that you just discovered. So now you're stuck reading books and shit like that, but books ain't shit, to be quite honest. Books ain't shit. The reason why books ain't shit is because, like I said before, you can create your own dimension. You can create your own dimensions, right? Like people talking about the Bible and blah 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 blah. I told you Satan was a man, right? So Satan was Superman, not just a man. I told you Satan was Superman, right? Everybody talking about the Bible, people doing researches and blah, 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 blah. But there's a line in the Bible that clearly says that you were laying waste to humans, slayer of nations. So it only takes a Superman to be able to kill nations. And he said, you were once a slayer of nations. So he did it for a long goddamn time, right? Like he was whooping ass left and right. So what does that mean? That means he was a warrior god. So basically he was Superman, right? And if he did get help, and if he wasn't Superman, and he was just getting help by other people, well, that also means that he looked like a man, because those guys that was following him, there's either two things in the primitive world that can happen. Either you meet a bunch of people that worship you as a god, or you meet a bunch of people that want to kill you. If you look like a monster with bat wings and shit, and you got a tail and a horn and the horn heads and shit, they're either gonna look at you as a god or they're gonna try and kill you, just like all the mythology stories, right? But that's not what he said. He didn't say you was worshipped as a man and now you're not. He didn't say you were hunted as a monster, as a creature of the night, and now you're not. That's not what he said. He said you used to lay waste to the nation. So that means he was A-okay with the people. He was A-okay with the people, and he probably looked like a dude, because people were capable of relating to him. And that's in the Bible. And people are like, well, God is good and blah 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 blah. Yeah, but I can also show you where my thesis makes sense in your book. So books ain't shit. You got to have experience. You have to know what you're saying. So, these guys that are very aware of that, speaking of the Illuminati, not the people actually doing the nonsense, but the Illuminati that's very aware of that, give these people the knowledge they need in order to fill that hate gap, right? That love gap, that brotherhood gap, right? That gap where, I finally found some people that feel the same way I do gap, right? So now you have Muslim groups. White man's the devil and all kinds of shit like that, right? Complete hate for, more or less reasonable reasons. Because nobody's perfect. Yes, there's racism. Shit, there's even systemic racism. There's even gatekeeping racism, right? Like you go for a job, but it's only white guys that can work there, right? Like they don't want you to work there because you're black and shit like that. There's stuff like that everywhere, right? So even in Japan, even in Australia, well, more or less Australia's pretty, they're pretty cool people, but probably in Australia too, Russia, whatever. It doesn't matter where you are, there's racism. I'm not saying that's okay, but you have to learn to deal with it, and you have to learn to create your own dimension. So like that, you can work within those barriers of racism, right? Not accept racism. Work within the barriers of racism, because you can't stop yourself from achieving success because you think that this person is not gonna want you there. You can't do that. You can't halt your own progress because of an idea. You can't stop your progress because of the idea that you made of somebody else, and you can't stop your progress because of the idea that somebody else has of you. You gotta keep on going. You gotta keep on going. The fat lady has not sung yet. You know what I mean? It ain't over until the fat lady sings. Man. So that was my little fucking segue. I know it's kind of wrong for me to say, but come on. It's just a joke, man. Don't worry about it. And it's kind of true too. But anyways, speaking of underage loving, this fucking guy Polite, this Polite fellow. But the thing is, it says sexual assault. Now, from where I'm standing, that means that it wasn't consented. I think I don't even know if I think he's being accused. I'm not sure, but apparently he's being accused of sexual assault. I don't know if it's true. I don't know if it isn't. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised. Personally, I wouldn't be surprised, man. I would not be surprised. But at the same time, I'm like, let's wait a second, see how this pans out, man. Dolo the pilot, man, just made a video. And this is why I made the video here, right? Because he's talking about understanding, right? Dolo, you need to understand something. It's not about understanding, man. It's not my fault if you're too weak to express yourself. It's not my fault if you're too weak to defend yourself. I don't have that problem. I mean, people that feel a certain way about what I say never ask me about how I feel about what I say. I just bring you knowledge. That's all I do. I'm just a fruit on the tree of life. That's all I am, baby. I'm just a juicy, succulent fruit on the tree of life. I I don't know about all that shit that you're talking about right now, that too much understanding shit. I never had a problem with too much understanding. You can never have too much understanding. Because if you have a high rate of understanding, that means you can support, you can tolerate a high amount of horror. Let me repeat that again. If you have a high level of understanding, that means you can tolerate a high amount of horror. So people always want to think like, oh, Buddhists ain't shit, you know, or yogas are gay. You know, people that like flowers are prissy, you know. That ain't it. That ain't it at all. Don't ever underestimate a spiritual man. There's a reason why he became spiritual. And not in everybody's cases, but it happens enough time for you to notice a pattern. Most people that end up being spiritual are people that seen so much fucked up shit that they're at a point where they're like, you know what? None of this makes sense. There has to be something going on here. There has to be something going on, because it happens when I understood that I had, people made me understand that I had a high level of talk, a high level of what's it called, understanding, right? And it's always like goons. It was always gangsters that always told me about understanding. Like, we just saw something fucked up, or somebody told us some fucking crazy shit, and I would always be the one answering or giving a critical, you know, how do you say it, opinion. And every time I did that, gangsters would look at me and be like, you got a high level of understanding. So it's actually gangsters that make me realize that I had a high level of understanding. And they do that a lot. You know, gangsters like to see things sometimes, certain things, you know, or they recognize certain patterns. And to them, when you can sit there in front of, you know, something messed up and have enough mind and enough spirit, you know, enough presence of moment to actually reply something, they're always gonna tell you, oh, you got a high level of understanding. That's like one of the things that a gangster says. But you will know that because you don't have a high level of understanding, and you've never been in a fucked up situation before, or you've never seen anything crazy. Or maybe you did say something crazy, but you was with a bunch of idiots, so you didn't learn from it. So, high level understanding can be dangerous. No, it can't. I don't know what the fuck this nigga's talking about, dude. I have no fucking clue what the fuck he's saying, man. Like, that just didn't, the title, you should change, he probably will. After seeing this video, he probably will change the title of this video, because that shit didn't make sense. The title of the video don't make sense. I don't even need to watch the rest of the video. The title itself doesn't make sense. The problem with high level of understanding, stop talking. Stop talking, bro. Go be a rapper. Go rap. Because you want to rap, bro. Stop talking. You're just digging your own grave. I mean, like, you know, and stop fighting me. You're not gonna win. You're not smart enough. So anyways, man, high level of understanding. People need a high level of understanding to do a lot of things. You can't be a doctor if you don't have a high level of understanding. You can't be a psychiatrist if you don't have a high level of understanding. You can't be a lawyer. You can't be a cop. You can't be a gangster. You can't be shit if you don't have a high level of understanding. Because gangsters are gonna do fucked up shit that you don't agree with, but if you don't have a high level of understanding, you won't be able to take it. Cops are gonna do fucked up shit that you probably don't agree with, and if you don't have a high level of understanding, you're not gonna have the stomach to stick with it. Being in an ambulance, you're gonna pick up dead bodies. You're gonna see broken, bones sticking out of people's legs and shit. So if you don't have a high level of understanding, you're not gonna be able to take it. If you want to be a good lawyer, you got to know the ins and out of the law, and you got to understand how the judge proceeds. And sometimes you're not going to like it, and sometimes it's going to be okay. But if you want to have a successful career, you're going to have a high level of understanding, or else you're not going to stick with it. There's nothing in this world that does not demand a high level of understanding. Just like you have a moniker of level of understanding because no, not really. Because you just shut your eyes to whatever's going on and you just think about yourself. You're egocentric. So you don't have a high level of understanding because you don't even know what understanding is. So that means you're egocentric. You're the kind of person that sticks his head in the ground and you just think about yourself. And you don't look at anything else that happens outside of you. That's a narcissist. That's an egocentric narcissist. Meep meep. I'm too fast for you, son. So, it is what it is. Do I miss some of my old? Yeah, I do. I do. Of course I do. I miss some of my old friends, man. It was cool ass motherfuckers. But it is what it is. So let's get back to, understanding before I start crying and shit. Let me get back to old friends before I start crying, man. High level understanding. High level understanding is what you need to practice magic. I mean, he practices magic. I think it's black magic. I'm not sure, but I think it's black magic. I'm pretty sure it's black magic. He might be a Wiccan too. He might be like a shaman or something. I'm not sure. There's so many types of magic that you can't just tell just by looking at somebody. So you need to have a high level of understanding to practice magic. You're not gonna agree with everything you see. Like if you read spell books, and if you read like the lore of whoever or whatever you're praying to, you might not like what you hear. Even if that spirit has is pretty strong or something, you might not like the story behind that particular spirit, dude. So, and if you want to keep using it, well, guess what? You're going to have a high level of understanding. So, I don't know why is he lying so much to his audience, man? Like, what is this dude's problem, man? Like, what the fuck? But the thing is, I think most of his audience are kids. That's what I think. I think most of his audience are like below the age of 18 or 20. Below 25. Yeah, below 25, 23. I think they're below that age, bro. Because I wasn't this mature. I wasn't very mature, even at 18. I mean, like, I was kind of mature, but I could have been more mature than that. Like, I know that I was lacking somewhere. When I was 18, like 17, 18, shit like that, I knew I was lacking in some places. Because I was a mature kid, but there was kids that was more mature. You know, like, even though I was a mature kid, there was kids that was more mature. So it's kind of normal. So I'm just basing myself. I'm comparing myself to everybody else. Like if I was mature, I'm pretty sure at 18, and and I was thinking that I could be better than that at 18. I'm pretty sure most people are a little bit immature. 25 going down. So understanding is a gift. Understanding is dangerous. Understanding is scary. Um, because if you can't. Somebody with a high level of understanding cannot be terrified. Somebody with a high level of understanding can look at a minotaur in the face and be like, oh well, you're not that ugly. No puns intended. A person with high understanding could look at a like the ugliest monster in the world and be like, oh man, you ain't that bad, son. You got some good things going for you. I mean, those horns look pretty useful. You could probably kill 2, 3 motherfuckers with that shit. You know what I mean? And then the Minotaur is gonna be his best friend because he doesn't, he sees him like a person and not a thing. So don't mess with someone that has a high level of understanding. You're gonna lose every fucking time. This is you're starting to see a pattern here, people. With the empath videos and shit. I've been watching a couple of empath videos and shit. I ain't gonna lie, I've been watching a couple empath videos. Just the 2-minute ones, the 5-minute ones, just to brush up or refresh, things like that. So yeah, man. A high level of understanding opens the door to spirits. That's what a high level of understanding does. And this son of a bitch is sitting there saying that there's danger in the high levels of understanding. So you see, people. I mean, you don't have to take my word for it. You can always try it. But don't piss your pants if you start hearing voices. You know what I mean? You have a high level of understanding, so you're a talkable person. You're a person that I can reach. You're a person I can touch. You're a person that's not gonna freak out. You're a person that can withstand the enormous pressure of my presence. That goes for humans too. There's some humans that are dangerous out here, and you might be one of the only people capable of standing in the room with him. That doesn't mean you ain't scared. It's just that you appreciate his humanity. You appreciate the fact that he's a person, right? I don't think I said that right, but it's something along those lines. So don't mess with a person with a high level of understanding, because you can that MF can mess you up real good. He could have his friends mess you up. And he probably knows people that are extremely important, like way more important than the Illuminati. So I wouldn't I wouldn't bet on that, man. I wouldn't bet on I wouldn't bet on it. So, like I said before, these guys are selling you lies. These Illuminati cats are just selling you lies. And the worst part is the thing that I don't understand with kids is, when I was a kid, I was freaking curious. Like, most of the shit I know now comes from my childhood. Not everything, but most of the things I know now today comes from my childhood. It comes from experimenting and being too curious It comes from my teenage years and my childhood, man. So I don't understand kids these days, you know. You got a person like me saying that you can be a god. Shit, I give you the scientific proof. Well, okay, not the scientific proof, but the scientific facts of how that could be. I'm talking to you about dimension, how you can create dimension, basically create your own reality like all those other gurus are saying. But I'm talking about pocket dimensions because you can create multiple realities inside of your life, believe it or not. I could explain it to you if you stop clout chasing. You know, but kids nowadays are not interested in anything. And you would think like shit like that would be like super cool to know, you know? Like I'm talking about X-Men, dude. I'm talking about being a mutant. I'm talking about being a Kryptonian. I'm talking about, you know, all kinds of shit. Shit, I even told you, shit, I even showed you how it told you how Kryptonians is an actual thing. Like Krypton is a real thing. It's a gas. It's a noble gas. Krypton is a noble gas. A noble. And then some. It's a light. It comes out of light. Kryptonian. Right? Mutant. X-Men versus Sentinels and shit. Right? This is what we're living in today. You're an X-Men, dude. You're being hunted by Sentinels because of your mutant powers. That's fucking X-Men, dude. That's legit X-Men. That's legit the plot of X-Men. Your life is the plot of X-Men. No one cares. And instead, y'all go listen to Dolomite ripping your power out of you by telling you that too high level of understanding is not good. This nigga just ripped your spinal cord out of your body. Just like I just did to him, but he still did it to you first. And there's a lot of people that's not going to hear this video. There's a lot of people that's not going to be here to listen to this video, man. Because he does have a lot of views. So there's only going to be like, I don't know, like 10 or 5 of the guys that on his channel that's gonna hear this shit. Maybe more if I'm lucky. You know? So there's a lot of people that just lost their damn spinal cord, dude. They just lost their kundalini, as some people would like to say. He just ripped out your kundalini right out of your body. Like fucking Shang Tsung or some shit. Like goddamn Mortal Kombat, man. He fucking scorpioned your ass. Get over here. You know me. So, I don't know what the fuck you guys are doing. I don't know what to tell you. I have no idea why you're wasting your time with all these fucking people. They're all liars. They're all perpetrators. I mean, Polite. Come on. Fucking Polite. Polite got a suit. Not a suit. He got a worker outfit. He got himself this is what Polite did. Polite one day, he got out of his bed. It was probably 8 o'clock, 8:30 a.m. because he's not a morning person. But he had something to do that day. And he's not a morning person, so even though he had something to do, he still woke up at 8:30. Took a shower, maybe. I don't know. Ate some breakfast, you know. And the rendezvous was at like 9:30. He got in his car and he drove as fast as he could. Now, before getting in his car, he went and got himself a worker outfit. He got himself a worker jacket. You know those brown worker jackets that, you know, like they're anti-everything, right? And then he got himself some shoes and some pants, some worker pants and worker shoes. and a nice shirt. And then he got himself a worker helmet. He put it on his head. And then a bunch of people called him on the cell phone, talking about all kinds of shit. He's scrupulous motherfucker. You know, like, they got his phone, started lying to everybody that was on his phone. Drove up to a worker site, right? This motherfucker said, like, he's been promoting. Polite was promoting a work job that he was creating, right? Like, he was creating an office, a building with a container grills, container pallets, right? Container plates, right? So he's been promoting that all the time, right? I guess some people was like, man, we want to see. So he's like, all right, I'll show you. Woke up at 8:30 a.m. He's already late. He ate some breakfast. Put on his worker outfit. While driving to the site, people was calling him. He was probably bullshitting every motherfucking body that was calling him, one after the other. He answered the other line. He was saying more bullshit. And then he went on the other line. And then he said more bullshit. And then he hung up. And then he got out this car. And he went on the construction site. And then he pulled out. I think there was somebody else filming. So he went to got one of his friends. He got one of his friends into this shit. It's a good thing we can't see his face. So he dragged one of his friends into this shit, dude. So, you know, bro, like, he got one of his friends to film. So, you know, the guy's filming, and Polite is sitting there, and he's like, this is my project that I'm working on. This is the project that I'm working on, man. And I guess what happened was somebody found out that he wasn't working on any motherfucking projects, bro. There was no goddamn projects, man. Like, he didn't do shit. He literally didn't do shit. It wasn't his project. It wasn't even his project. He legit didn't do shit in there. He just went and got himself some goddamn worker clothes, a fucking worker hat. He got somebody to fucking film his ass on the construction site. He knew the people. He barely knew the people that was on the construction site, bro. He just acted as if he was working on the construction site too. He had nothing to do with the construction of the building, which I don't even think got finished in the first fucking place. So, and if it did, it wasn't thanks to him. So this is the kind of man that you guys are listening to. This is the kind of man that you're listening to. Liars and perpetrators. You're listening to liars and perpetrators, bro. All of them. All of them. And you don't believe me. They keep getting exposed. They're targeting people. You know, they're going after people that's exposing them. They're all liars. And the worst part is, what I don't understand is why the liars have more views than the people telling the truth. That's the part I don't get. What the fuck is up with that, dude? What is up with that? Makes no damn sense. This video is too damn long. I'll see you in the next one, man. Peace out.